Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all my Formula Athlete Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for post-Phantom Rage. A lot of you have been requesting an update to the FA deck. They actually got some new support that was shared with the Ultra Athlete deck. It's a really interesting deck that focuses on using all the different FA machine monsters to get out different synchro summons that also boost up the levels of your different FA monsters, and using a bunch of different field spells we have, along with the new one we received from Phantom Rage. Definitely an interesting type of deck for the machine synchro mechanics. Let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the actual FA monsters, we're running a pretty good variety of the different ones, but running 3 FA Sonic Meister. It gains attack equal to its level times 300. It cannot be destroyed by battle with an opponent's monster whose original level or rank is lower than this card's level. And each time an FA spell or trap card or effect is activated, you can increase this card's level by 1. If this card's level is 7 or higher, it can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. So with this boost, you have this to rely on, and also the fact that it'll gain attack based on what its level is. So the more that you're invested into your FA plays, the higher this card's level will go, and also be able to have the stronger attack against your opponent altogether for that boost. That's why I like running 3 of it, so you always have the option to adjust its levels for your synchro plays and also be able to rely on it as just one of the offensive cards to go into. I also run 3 FA Hang On Mock with this one. It gains attack just like Sonic Meister, equal to its level times 300. It's unaffected by activated effects from an opponent's monster whose original level or rank is lower than this card. And also each time an FA spell or trap is activated, you can increase this card's level by 1. If it is level 7 or higher, any card sent to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. So with this card, having that setup to go into means that you can basically ruin all of your opponent's graveyard plays very easily if you set up your Hang On Mac onto the field and then just go into all of your different FA field spells, or even some of the quick plays that we run in the deck all together that were UA cards but count as the FA name, which I spoke of before. But once again, just 3 of the level 4 card is just that much easier to work with and also use with our FA tuner monsters that we run in the deck, which we are running 3 of the FA Auto Navigator, our go-to tuner in the deck. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can target 1 FA monster you control whose current level is higher than its original level and special summon this card. If you do, then you reduce this card's level by the difference between its current and original level. And if you do, this card's level becomes equal to the amount reduced. So with it, you have the option to reduce those levels, but also set up this card on the field with all of those different plays with this card. And if this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 FA field spell from your deck to your hand, and you can only use each effect of FA Auto Navigator once per turn. So once again, a great card to use for your resources, being able to rely on this card for the search power of all your different FA spells, and you're also set up for the high level FA monsters you may have already in the deck, being able to reduce the level, but then also set up the fact that if you have the specific level with your 1 FA monster, you'll be able to go into the synchro play, with most of the time wanting to go into your main ones being FA Dawn Dragster or FA Motorhome Transport, depending on what level you have set up on the field or just the amount of different monsters you're running also. And I also run 2 FA Whip Crosser. With this one, it gains attack equal to its level times 300, and your opponent must pay 300 life points to activate the effect of a monster whose original level or rank is lower than this card's level. Each time an FA spell or trap on the effect is activated, you can increase this card's level by 1. If this card's level 7 or higher, your opponent cannot discard or send cards from their hand to the graveyard to activate a card effect, which definitely comes up a lot more than I thought. But I'm also running only 2 of this card because it doesn't happen as often as you would use Hang On Mac or Sonic Meister's own monster effects, but still a great card to rely on for that fact that you will be able to stop a lot of your opponent's different plays depending on the discard cost. Especially you'll be able to protect your field spells on the field from cards like Twin Twister. All the better, just having all these different FA monsters on the field set up and ready to go. For some of the one-ofs for the FA monsters, I run 1 FA Dark Dragster and 1 FA Turbocharger. Once again, just different levels, and I was trying out the Turbocharger. If you wanted to try more on the Dark Dragster setup, you could try running 2 of this card in the deck, but once again, just player preference with both of these cards. For the setup, having the level gain for your Turbocharger and attack power as well, and you can increase this card's level by 1, and if your FA monster battles with a monster you control whose this highest level is 7 or higher, your opponent's monsters cannot activate effects. So it's more of a power boost card going up against your opponent. Dark Dragster with this one, with the special summon, it cannot be normal summoned or set. It must first be special summoned from your hand by having one level 7 or higher FA monster on the field, which is very, very easy to do. And also with this card, it gains attack equal to its level times 300, and each time an FA spell or trap or effect is activated, you can increase this card's level by 1, and once per turn you can target one card on the field, reduce this card's level by 3, and destroy it. So you are taking a big level reduction with this card, but once again, it's an easy special summon onto the field. So if you wanted to run a second one instead of the turbocharger, it comes down to more if you're going up against, an opponent with attack power, or you want more of the destruction power. So putting in a second Dark Dragster can be player preference at that point as well. So that's it for the monsters. I wanted to stick to as pure of an actual, FA count for the deck. If you wanted to run some other staple cards in the deck, you can try out. I've thought of the Speedroid engine being the fact that a good amount of the FA cards are wins, so they don't limit you with that play, but they do shut down the Dark Dragster play with some of those plays, so remember that when using that card. But for the field spells now, moving on to the spells, running 3 UA Hyper Stadium. This card's always treated as an FA card, so remember that when searching out your FA field spells. When this card is activated, you can add 1 UA or FA monster from your deck to your hand, or add 1 UA Stadium, which you won't really do much in this deck. But also just having that search power for any of your FA monsters means you can search for your tuner for your setup, or if you already have the tuner, your non-tuner monsters to go into. You can reveal 1 field spell in your hand and pay 1,000 life points to normal summon 1 UA or FA monster during your main phase in addition to your normal summon or set. You can only activate this effect once per turn. You can only activate 1 Hyper Stadium per turn. But talk about the setup that this deck definitely needed. Just going off of the additional normal summon means more monsters to set up on the field, whether to go into your synchro play or even the fact that, FAs have a link monster to go into makes it all the better. Something they really, jumped on more than the Ultra Athlete monsters, the fact that they actually have extra deck monsters you want to go into. But this search power and additional normal summon makes this a definite 3 of for the deck, along with the fact that we're running multiple field spells for the FAs, which are the 3 FA City Grand Prix. You increase the levels of all FA monsters on the field by 2, and during the main phase and battle phase, your opponent cannot target FA monsters you control with card effects, and if this face-up card on the field is destroyed by a card effect, you can add 1 FA card from your deck to your hand, except for City Grand Prix, and you can only use this effect of City Grand Prix once per turn. So both of the field spells that we've gone over so far are just amazing search power for the deck altogether. So being able to add this card off of Hyper Stadium makes it all the better for sure. For more search power and the level boost for your FA monsters means that you can use their effects that much quicker without having to rely on activating monster effects or FA spell or traps, and just have that boost to all of them with this card. And I'm also just running 1 of the FA Circuit Grand Prix. You increase the levels of all FA monsters on the field by 2, and during the battle phase, once per turn, when your FA monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can draw 1 card. If this card on the field is destroyed by a card effect, you can add 1 FA card from your deck to your hand, except for Great Circuit Grand Prix. You can only use this effect of Circuit Grand Prix once per turn. So it's more of a setup card after you've activated your Grand Prix and also your Hyper Stadium. I'm also just running 1 of it because it's the one you want to usually have set up after both of these other cards and your monsters are set up on the field. So you can easily just search it with the other ones also, and then have the option to go into your field spells again using the other cards, including City Grand Prix and Hyper Stadium. But I also run 3 UA Locker Room. If you want to increase the number of your FA Circuit Grand Prix, you can always reduce the number of UA Locker Room. Its card's always treated as an FA card as well. And you target 1 UA or FA monster you control or in your graveyard, add to your hand. If you do, gain 500 life points, then you can apply this effect. You can reveal any number of FA monsters in your hand, shuffle them into the deck, then draw cards equal to the number, and you can only activate 1 UA Locker Room per turn. But you have plenty of cards just to cycle through if you have the multiple numbers. But once again, if you want to reduce the number of Locker Room and add in an additional Circuit Grand Prix, that's another option to think of when using this deck altogether. I also run 3 FA Test Run, another quick play spell. You target 1 FA monster you control, change its battle position, and destroy 1 card on the field. And during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target 1 face-up card you control, destroy it, and if you do, special summon 1 FA monster from your deck. So it's more search power altogether with this card, but the setup as well, being able to go on the defensive after your FA monster attacks, makes it all the better for sure. And the fact that they're quick plays means that you can just set them up more and more as your back row lineup, including cards like UA Locker Room for just reset up of your hand as well. Lastly, for some of the quick plays, I'm also running 2 FA downforce. That's the biggest thing with the FA deck, being a vehicle deck. I guess they want to focus more on the quick play spells. You target one FA monster you control, increase its level by 2 until the end of this turn, and during your main phase, except the turn was sent to the graveyard, you can banish it. Then target one FA monster and increase its level by 2 until the end of this turn. It's just a level boost card. I like to run 2 of it for more and more setup with our different monsters that we're running in the deck for the boost, and it's the main point of the deck altogether. Plus 1 FA pit stop. You target one FA monster you control, reduce its level by 2, and if you do, draw cards equal to the number of FA pit stops in your graveyard. I use it more for the level reduction. It's just, once again, player options for this card if you want to run a 3rd downforce, or you can mix and match the draw power of pit stop with the more and more you use this card with your FA downforce. But once again, just player preference with this card and what numbers you want it to use with these different amounts of field and quick play spells. But that is it for those. For the generic spells we're running in the deck, it's a pretty good number of one-ofs for the setup. We're running 1 terraforming, field spell search, obviously, the 1/1-for-1 for our tuner search, our FA auto navigator. For this one, 1 Foolish Burial, more graveyard setup with a bunch of our different monsters, especially the Auto Navigator. 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Called by the Grave, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, taking out back row from our opponent is a big one for sure, and the 1 Mind Control. Just with the different levels for the synchro plays we can go into, Mind Control definitely does come in handy since they're more generic plays for our FA synchros. But yeah, plenty of one-ofs, but all ones, when you draw them, can definitely be vital for all the different plays you may want to go into. And as for the traps, I have the 3 Infinite Impermanence. This is once again going off of if you have the card, you can play it. But if you don't have Infinite Impermanence, there's plenty of other cards you can rely on for all the different special summoning for the FA deck, including Call the Haunted back to the front that you can put in for these cards if you don't have them. If you do have them, then I would suggest running them. Just a great trap to rely on for the deck altogether. But also, lastly, for the traps, just the 1 Metaverse. It's more field spell search, especially in the deck. We have the Terraforming, but just 1 additional Metaverse definitely makes up for more and more of the fact that we have plenty of different field spells in the deck altogether. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I have the 1 FA Dawn Dragster. If you wanted to run an additional one of this, there is the High Speed Roy Chambara, which I'm running as well in the deck just as a wind option to go into. But once again, it all depends on what the levels of your cards on the field are. Also, Chambara is great if you didn't have the level increase and you just want to quickly go for the synchro play, but very easy to go into Dawn Dragster using our tuner and just increasing the levels of either Sonic Meister or Hang on Mac on the field and summoning the tuner out. And the fact that you have more destruction plays with your Dawn Dragster and the level increase applying to this card as well makes it a definite 2-of to consider for sure with the extra deck. I also have the 1 FA Motorhome Transport. You need a tuner and 1 or more non-tuner to make it. It gains attack equal to its level times 300, and each time an FA spell or trap card is activated, you can increase this card's level by 1, and it gains the following effects based on its current level. If it's level 11 or higher, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. If it's a level, I believe it's 12, for this one, 13 or higher, which is great because it even goes above the level that's usually normal for this game. You can target 1 FA monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So either you can play in the defensive in, expecting its levels to lower each and every time, but most of the time its levels should be high enough that it'll be a true powerhouse going up against your opponent for sure. And I also run the 1 TG Hyper Librarian, just more synchro plays and more draw power. With Master Rule 5, we're not limited at all with what we can summon out in the main monster zone, so just setting this card up for more and more draws, definitely useful in the deck. I also run the 1 Clear Wing Synchro, the 1 Crystal Wing Synchro, the 1 Stardust Dragon for all the different synchro plays we can go into for sure. Very easy also with the high levels that we can use. And Crystal Wing with Clear Wing, not much simpler to use our level 1 tuner that we have all together. I also have the 1 FA Shining Star GT. You need 2 machine monsters to make it. It gains attack equal to its level of FA monsters this card points to, times 300. And neither player takes any battle damage from attacks involving this card. And each time an FA spell or trap card is activated, place 1 athlete counter on this card. And when your opponent's activated a monster effect, quick effect, you can remove 1 athlete counter in this card to negate the activation and destroy it. It's just great setup. You'll set it up in the extra monster zone as your go-to card most of the time, making your synchro plays in the main monster zone, powering up this card even more and more. And then the athlete counters for the negation power against your opponent, definitely useful as well. I also have the 1 Cross Sheep, the 1 Barricade Board Blocker, 1 Great Fly, and 1 Wind with the different wind monsters we're running in the deck. 1 Crystron, Halqifibrax. I don't know if this card's going to be hit or not on the December ban list, so if it does happen, you can always put in a Nightmare Cerberus or a Nightmare Phoenix to replace this card as that option. I also have 1 Mecha Phantom Beast, Auroradon, for the win and token setup for more and more use for our synchro plays. And lastly, the 1 Nightmare Unicorn. Just great, shuffle back power when you have the link option to go into, especially if you use the Shining Star GT and just have another lower level monster or other link monster on the field to use. And as for your go-to plays, once again, we spoke of the setup with your monsters on the field. And the more and more you raise by activating the different field spells, raises the levels of these cards, then being able to either set up your Auto Navigator in your hand by search power, or in the graveyard with cards like Foolish Burial, special summoning it onto the field and going for your synchro plays is the main use of the deck altogether. But also just knowing which field spells you have to activate and quickly go through them for the different activations and search power that they provide, plus the additional normal summon to set up your different FA monsters on the field, make it all the better for sure, because the more you have, the more you can, raise levels altogether each time you activate a card, and then just stop your opponent's plays, whether it be the discard cost or even just the, macro cosmos effects, or even just the power plays you can do with cards like Sonic Meister. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Definitely going through a good number of the different Phantom Rage sets from, all the different cards. I think I've done the majority of them. Still planning on doing Ancient Warriors at some time. Like I said, I want to collect all the cards for the deck before I focus on the actual deck profile. And we have a bunch of other sets coming out this month as well to look forward to. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira, Twig out.